some other big bands. And tell us about what happened after the AC/DC gig and you went on your way. Tell us about some of the other bands you played with and some of your other projects.
Yeah, it wasn't too long after AC/DC really that I really needed to get back up on stage again and if I could get some more recording contracts and things. And I was contacted by guys from Rabbit. They were from Newcastle, which was just north of Sydney. Wild rock, because I'd seen them playing in Checkers in Sydney, the famous Checkers nightclub in Sydney, and they were really great, very exciting. And so I went up to Newcastle, jammed with those guys, and joined them. And it was not long, probably about 6 months after I joined them, that we landed a contract with CBS Records, which was really fantastic. And we were a wild rocker band. We were wild on stage, probably wilder off stage. It was the 70s. It was a great time. And so we released records in Australia and internationally throughout Europe and Japan and that kind of thing. And had some hit records with them, songs like Wildfire and Too Much Rock and Roll. That was a great period of my life. And those guys are still very good friends of mine today. In fact, Mark Tinson, one of the guitarists with Rabbit, he produced records for a long time, winning awards, and he produced two of my albums in 2004 and 2007. And I still write songs with Mark, and so those guys are still my great friends to this day. After that, there were other bands, of course, Dave Evans and Thunder Down Under, and another album there. And of course, I've been a solo artist, I guess, for many years now, recording solo albums.
Hey, Dave, when you was playing with Rabbit back in the day, just by any chance, did you ever cross paths with your old mates, AC/DC, and open up for them or play on any bills in the same, or just be in the same towns when they were playing and whatever? Did you ever do any shows with them after that?
I didn't do any shows with them. I really wanted to. Rabbit was a great band, really wild rockin' band, one of the best stage acts probably in any band in Australia. It was really fantastic, and I really wanted to do some shows with them. But they left the country for England before that could happen. And but I did catch up with them in Melbourne at a huge festival, a 3-day festival. We weren't on the same bill, but we were at the festival, playing probably on different days. But we just happened to meet each other in the audience and spoke with Malcolm and at the time, asked him how he was going. Because I'd moved to Melbourne from Sydney. We're a Sydney band, and we just sort of chatted, really, and that was that.
We're 97.5 The Rock. It is a Rock Zone Legends. We are talking to Dave Evans. He's the original lead singer with AC/DC. We were lucky enough to catch him while he was here in the States, and we've been picking his brain for about 30 minutes, and we do appreciate it indeed, don't we, Rod?
Hey, Dave Rod again. So when you left the band, you had a tissue with the manager, but you was on a good rapport with your bandmates?
It was a little bit difficult at the time. I was on to our third bass player at the time, our third drummer at that time. They were sort of a bit older than me, and they were sort of in a different type of music to me, really. One was in a sort of jazz, which I wasn't into, and the other one was sort of like a hippie sort of music. It wasn't really working out with those guys anyway, and so I wasn't really getting on well with them. Malcolm and I weren't really hitting it off too well. I was very, very happy with the band. I was having a fantastic time. But Malcolm got a bit jealous with me and my popularity with the band, especially with the females, as it were.
It's always about the women.
Yeah, and I mean that's what a lead singer's supposed to do.
Right.
With all the girls.
Part of the job.
I was.
Yeah.
And, but Malcolm just got his nose out of job with all that, and it wasn't very nice. But what really happened was, I suppose, when we were working our butts off, as it were, sometimes up 2-3 gigs a day, and not getting paid, doing the biggest gigs in Australia with a hit record. I objected to that. We all did. We were all upset about that, and I nailed the manager one night, and actually left the band halfway through that national tour. But came back the next morning, and we're all sobered up by that stage, I guess, and it was decided to keep the band together for the tour. We had a raging hit record on our hands, and so have the meeting at the end of that particular tour, which we did, but nobody was really speaking to each other at the end of that tour. Nobody. It was terrible. We had a hit record, biggest crowds, incredible fans, and the band itself just wasn't getting on, especially with the manager. So it was decided that I would leave at the end of that particular tour. And the bass player and drummer was sacked not long afterwards. And then the manager was also sacked not long after that. So the band was then back to Malcolm and Angus, even though we had the hit record. They still had the hit record on their hands and that. But they regrouped with a new manager from Melbourne, and they moved to Melbourne and put the next lineup of the band together in Melbourne. So I've been with the band through 3 different lineups.
Now, whenever you're talking about the way this kind of transpired, and you went on and you moved on, and you were able to pick up with another gig with Rabbit, do you see that as a growing or a learning experience? Everything that you found that went down with AC/DC, and then as you moved on, did that mature you? Did that help you in your career down the road? Do you look back at it and say, I learned a lot from that, or did you just shove it off and just keep going your way?
Sure learned a lot. All right. Welcome to the big league, and it wasn't just through what happened with AC/DC. I saw it happen with other big bands too.
Right.
All the drugs, and I saw managers giving some of the big stars huge logs to poke on before they went on stage, and they didn't know where they were. I remember one big star asking where the stage was. He didn't know, and
wow.
they sort of pointed him in the right direction, and somebody just sort of pushed him in the back and said it's that way. People are being ripped off and being sold second hand to gigs, all that sort of stuff. I saw it all happen, and when I came back with Rabbit, the boys weren't that experienced. They were a great band. They hadn't recorded. They hadn't hit the big time when I joined them, and I was able to at least explain to them what to expect. We signed with CBS Records. It was all going to happen for us. It was going to happen for me again. And went in with both eyes open the next time round, and after taking a deep breath after AC/DC, but I was also able to try and coach the other guys in Rabbit to what was going on. Yes, it was a big learning curve.
Dave, was you lucky enough to write any of the lyrics back there to Soul Stripper or any of them other tunes you were talking about?
Those particular songs I hadn't written the lyrics to, but I wrote lyrics to a couple of other tracks. One was called Sunset Strip, and the other was called Fell in Love, which were popular songs with the band. But after Bon Scott joined, he rewrote lyrics of those 2 songs and recorded them, which I was pretty pissed off about. Sunset Strip became Show Business.
Right.
And Fell in Love became, I think, a love song for Gene or something like that. So he just rewrote lyrics and re-recorded them. So I wasn't very happy with that. I was very annoyed. But
Bummer.
We are 97.5 The Rock. We're hanging out on a Rock Zone Legend program. We are WDLJ Breeze with Dave Evans, the lead singer from AC/DC, the original lead singer, and we're talking about his career with AC/DC and those afterwards. Well, let's talk about what's going on now, man. You're here in the States. What brings you to the colonies?
Well, I've had a solid career for a long time now, and I've been really touring around the world constantly. I've been sort of back and forwards to Texas for 8-9 years now.
Wow.
Doing mostly shows around Texas and some shows in California. But this time I was asked by some great guys up there in Ohio. They're great musicians, but they also have an AC/DC cover band called Thunderstruck there. And they asked if I could come up to do some shows with them in Ohio and Pennsylvania. And I had a window of opportunity because I just finished my fourth tour of Ukraine. And then after Ukraine, I flew to Canada and toured in Canada. Came down briefly to Texas and then flew up to Ohio and Pennsylvania, which was really fantastic. It was in autumn. All those trees are beautiful, different coloured leaves. It was just an amazing sight. It only happened for about a week. During the year, I was lucky to see all that. And apart from the shows, I also went to Amish country and Cleveland Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and all that kind of stuff. So it was fantastic. And also, of course, we did shows in Pennsylvania and Ohio. And then I flew down here to Texas. They're talking about possibly doing shows again next summer up your way, and hopefully with Michigan and also more shows in Pennsylvania and maybe Virginia. So we'll just see what happens next year. But they're all excited after the shows I did with those boys up there,
Well,
and hopefully next year I'll be back up there, maybe out your way too.
Well, I'll bring it up. Rotten Rod is, our co-host here on the Rock Zone Legends show, and he was out in L.A. for 25, 30 years chasing the dream, the rock and roll dream, and had some success, but never hit the big time. I'm sorry to say that, but man, he loves the old AC/DC, and he does a mean old AC/DC. Are you gonna add?
Well, let me just say this here. I front a couple bands here. One's called Riff Raff, and another one's called AZDZ, and they're both AC/DC bands. And
Yeah.
I've got the boys here that could back you up if you want to do any bands in this, any gigs in this area, in the St. Louis area. There's a couple venues that would probably jump at the chance of having you, but all you'd have to do is show up, and either one of my bands could back you up.
Well, look, shoot me an email. You got my Facebook there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Just send me a message there.
Yep.
Right, and we can talk about that.
Right on.
So yeah, just shoot me a message in my Facebook, and we'll talk about doing some shows in the
Right
St.
on.
Louis area.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I can sort of add that to my itinerary for next year, probably. So yeah, do that.
Maybe-
and we'll chat.
Maybe I could even jump up and do a duet with you on Soul
Oh,
Stripper.
What, you guys are? What is this? A big love fest? What the hell's going on here? I've lost control, man. What the-
What I normally do is I do. The band usually goes on. If I work with an AC/DC cover band, I do some around the world.
Yeah.
They'll go and do their own set first up, short set. Then I'll go up there with the boys from the band,
Right.
and they'll do half my own music. They'll do songs from my solo albums for half a set. And I also do AC/DC songs as well in my own set. And so the crowd really gets two bands in a way. They get the AC/DC cover band, and then they get me with the musicians, my badasses, and they'll get my stuff, and I'll do Across Next to You Girl, and a few of the good old tracks as well. So it's a great show. It kills it everywhere around the world, packs them in, and that's the formula that I do if I'm working with an AC/DC cover band. And if the singer's a good guy, I may even let him get up on stage with me.
That's me.
At the end of the show, and then do Highway to Hell with me or something like that.
I am a good guy. That's why they call me Rotten Rod.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I hear you.
Of course. Well, shoot me an email, and we'll chat.
97.5 The Rock. We got Dave Evans, the original lead singer of AC/DC, on the line. You went on to a great solo career. The next song we're going to play is called "Sold My Soul to Rock and Roll." Tell us about that, and then we'll spin that tune.
Yeah, that was from my Sinner album, and that was released initially in Germany in 2004, but was released in the United States in 2007. Sold My Soul to Rock and Roll was actually not. I've got the certificate here. Was nominated as the best rock song for 2007 at the Los Angeles Music Awards. So I'm very proud of that. Got the certificate up on the wall. So yeah, Sold My Soul to Rock and Roll from the Sinner album. The Sinner album itself, it's got amazing critical acclaim all around the world, and this was the one that was nominated for the LA Music Awards 2007.
Let's spin it, shall we? Sold My Soul to Rock and Roll. Dave Evans, 97.5 The Rock.